Today on Top Gear Rearview. Hey.
Hello and welcome to Top Gear Rearview. I'm Jeff. That's Brady. Tonight we are looking back at Series 2, Episode 7 of the new Top Gear.
This episode aired on the 22nd of June in 2003, and the star in a reasonably priced car was some dude named Neil Morrissey.
All right, tonight's segments are the first production car from Koenigsegg, sort of, production's a loose term, but the CC8S, real-life test crashing a Renault Megane, comparing, I guess, a couple vintages of Hummer that are wildly different, the H1 and the H2, and rounding things out with Hammond just kind of dicking around in a Talon Riot Control Vehicle.
Just kind of dicking around.
What a weird episode this was. But starts with the high point, which is at Koenigsegg.
Yes. I mean, I think we're going to talk about this a lot. It was a pretty light episode, but the Koenigsegg gives us a lot to talk about because it is really starting to expand this hypercar realm that's going on at this time. 2003 is when this episode aired. I love Koenigsegg. I like everything about it. I like the cars. I like how good they are. I guess I don't like how expensive they are, but I was never going to afford it if it costs £100,000 anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I like the cut of his jib, you know? Kind of presumably a well-to-do guy, but starting a car company in like his mid-20s or something, like a not like a hypercar company, and the first car he puts out is a 240-mile-an-hour monster. Oh my god,
that is aiming high and hitting the mark.
Just nailing it.
I remember seeing the first Koenigsegg, my first Koenigsegg on, like, it was probably on the internet at some point back then, and I vividly remember seeing it and being like, "What is that?" Like with the back up or showing the engine and the hood up and the doors up, and it's just like unfolded, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" That is something I want to know more about.
Yeah, I mean it definitely is going right after that McLaren F1 market. It looks very similar. To a McLaren F1.
Yeah, it definitely has some similar lines.
It doesn't have the pedigree, obviously, but
no, it has more horsepower.
It's got what he said.
It's lighter, more aerodynamic, and amazingly more powerful than a McLaren F1.
The McLaren F1 is famously a long-time runner, kind of really getting up there in my time frame as the fastest car ever. When I think of fastest cars ever, the McLaren F1 is the first one that jumps to mind, even though it's not anymore.
Yeah, but oh god, that was a rocket ship of a car. I looked into these numbers a little more. Did you see the weight on this thing?
I did not.
2,590 pounds.
Oh my god.
That's nothing. I was like,
how do you have 655 horsepower in that light of a car?
0 to 60 in 3 seconds makks a lot of sense with that. The engine I thought was pretty interesting because it was a 4.7 liter supercharged V8, and I was like, the one thing that you're gonna have to do if you're coming from from nothing basically to a new car is you're gonna have to take that from somebody. It is a Ford modular 4.7, but they do build it in house, and they change a lot about it.
Yeah, I mean I guess
cams, pistons, everything.
Just the block is where they're starting.
Pretty much, yeah, because it is like thoroughly changed out. That's really impressive specific horsepower. Like that kind of power out of a 4.7 liter, that is a bonkers amount of power.
Yeah. It really is. And it's interesting that supercharged, this is kind of the end of the era where supercharging was the forced induction of choice, because almost everything after that is turbocharged.
Yeah, it's that definitely is, and that kind of has always been I don't know. I mean, there's certain niches, and it seems like the Ford engines do really well with it because, like the Ford GT, the previous one, not the current one, was a supercharged, I believe, 5.4 liter V8. So they seem to like it. But you see the production quantity on this bad boy?
Like 6.
6.
Yeah, it was 6.
Koenigsegg is notoriously low volume. The successor to this is the CCR, of which they made 14, and the successor to that is the CCX, which was the big runner at a whopping 49.
More than that's a lot of cars for a Koenigsegg.
I mean, it really is. Yeah, but they're getting legitimate. And then you get into the Agera, however you say it. And I imagine we're gonna have more there because that's current model. But yeah, that's 6. I was like, that doesn't really count as production.
Yeah, the Koenigsegg Agera RS, which is now currently the fastest car at like 274 miles an hour. There was 8. There was 8 of those. So
yeah, more.
I saw if you saw the video we posted to Facebook of it setting that record, both runs, again with and against the wind. There were like 4 other Agera RSs there, which apparently is almost all of the Ageras ever.
Half of the production.
Yeah, it was out near Southern California, which makes sense. The F1 made 106 cars, so that's vastly more production quantity than the Koenigsegg. But
yeah,
I love this car. I love the way it opens up. I do like Hammond or Clarkson gave us a list of techno babble just to make sure that we knew that it was from Scandinavia.
And the best bit of those aesthetics are the dihedral synchro helix actuation doors.
That's a mouthful of just.
Those are really cool doors, though.
They're so cool.
They're like the coolest type of scissor doors I've ever seen.
Yeah. I really like it because they kind of come out and pivot, and I was like, man, with a world full of Lambo doors, that is a nice, refreshing little twist on them, literally.
Yeah.
So they have he's got some really interesting technological innovations. So Christian von Koenigsegg is the founder, and as we mentioned, he started this company at 22. When this car came out, he was about 30, which is, I mean, I'm older than 30. I've never made 31. A car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My supercar company is just barely in its infancy.
Yeah, you're just getting past design phase, right? But there are some really interesting technologies that he's got. He's got some that are a little cheeseball. Like if you go to his website, it has a ton of, I'll post a link. It's got a ton of little things like memory foam car seats. And there is a cool one. The fuel tank is integrated into the carbon chassis, which is unique. I mean, it makes it a pain if it leaks or something, I'm guessing. But it definitely, allows you to distribute weight exactly how you want to.
Yeah.
He's got... what they call, I gotta find the name, the triplex suspension. I almost said triple X. Triple X suspension's way different. But basically, it puts, in addition to your traditional, mostly vertical shock and damper on the rear wheels, it puts a third one between them, which helps, basically, if you hit a bump with one wheel, it helps stabilize the car. So it makes it both more comfortable for day-to-day driving and quicker and more stable at, high-speed runs.
Yeah.
And then the coolest, in my opinion, is he's got a camless engine, which is it's electronic and pneumatic actuation of the valves, so you don't need a camshaft and you can have infinite adjustability. It's crazy and it's awesome.
A completely adjustable, not even cam profile, like cylinder performance profile.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like any real time, like live. I mean, it's a closed loop system.
Yeah,
like you got your VTEC and whatnot, your variable valve timing and Honda, and I mean that's coming kind of the standard. But this is not like, this is every individual valve. Like you can individually tailor cylinder performance.
Yeah,
which is
exactly
crazy. So, dude's pretty smart.
Yeah, I mean he's obviously continued to perform as running this Koenigsegg automotive company that he founded, but because they've continued to survive. A lot of these little ones don't survive very long. They come out, release a car, and then go away, like Noble, which is probably the best comparison, but Koenigsegg's doing it better. Or they become just a gigantic, like Lamborghini or Ferrari, and it's not the case either. So he's really keeping it right where he wants it, where he's got complete control. But this is a sweet car. It's fast.
It really is. And it comes at a price that you might expect, which is 354,000 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, they've commented that like the Veyron, even though it costs £1 million or whatever, they make a loss on every single one, but they can do that because they're part of whatever the VW group and they can absorb that. It's a marketing scam anyway.
Yeah.
But Koenigsegg, if he doesn't make money selling cars, he's not going to make money.
Yeah, this is his livelihood, and this is his.
So
they are one of one in this company.
354,000 is with profit included, and please buy it or we're going to go under. We made 8, we sold 8.
Yeah,
we gotta make it.
And I mean, yeah, it's that'd be in the neighborhood of like 725,000 today. Which you can buy quite a bit of car for that. I mean, you're not quite to like 918 territory, but you're like, you could get a couple McLarens and stuff. So
you're very close to that. I mean, 918 was like 850,000.
Yeah, it actually, when it came out, you can't get them anymore for that. Now they're like $2 million, but yeah, I guess you're in the 800,000 range for that. So you're not far off. You're a base model 911 away from a 918. So. This one, they were real hopeful that it would take down the Zonda.
Well, I mean, it costs more than a Zonda, so you'd expect it to go faster, right?
More power, it costs more, and presumably, I didn't get a weight on the Zonda, but it's got to be same ballpark, possibly lighter.
Yeah, well, this thing, they commented, was more aerodynamic, and I believe maybe McLaren was less aerodynamic to gain a little bit of maneuverability and downforce, but the Stig was a little slide happy for how fast this went.
Now, if you remember, later in the series, again, we'll get to it, they do talk about, or they do have, I think it's the CCXR, I want to say. Basically,
with the Top Gear wing?
Yeah, and that's, looking at this one, like, it totally makes sense. It kind of looks like it needs a wing, a little more downforce in the back.
Would do wonders for it because, as Jeff said, they were hoping it would pass the Zonda, but alas, it did not.
By a 1/10 of a second.
It did. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I have I have 123.3 for the Zonda.
Oh, okay. Maybe I misread. I saw 123.8, but I guess 3 and an 8 looks similar. That would make more sense. But 123.9 is what this one put down.
Yeah, so at 354,000 pounds, that's still very fast. It will be the second fastest time we have on this track, since we've taken the Westfield XTR2 and the Radical SR3 out. But, Jeff, this is the power lap for today.
Indeed it is.
What is your desirability of the Koenigsegg, keeping in mind that you gave a 10 to the Zonda?
Hard 10.
Hard 10. I wish this went to 11, but I designed it that it didn't. Sort of 10 as well. So, unfortunately for the Koenigsegg, getting super high in the lap time score and highest possible in the desirability score, this comes in 23rd out of 29.
All right.
Because it costs 354,000 pounds.
I'm checking on the Top Gear site right now. The Zonda, which was the C12 C12S 7.3, but was partly damp, was a 123.8, so it was legitimately a 0.1 second slower.
Okay, 123.8.
Yeah, which is just bonkers.
So that puts it 23rd. It is just ahead of the Ferrari 575M Maranello, and just behind the Maserati Coupe.
Oh man,
It's not very welcoming territory on our Top Gear power rankings, but with the biases that we've put in from the start, which have tended to be okay,
they are fair, I think.
It's just too expensive, and I think that's okay. I think that's the point of the rankings is. Yes, a 354,000 pound car should be second highest on a sheer time list, but it costs 354,000 pounds.
So much money. So.
Yep. Disappointing that it's that low, though. I really wanted it to be higher.
Bummer.
We've had some really high ones. In the last 3 episodes, we've done 1, 2, and 3 on our power rankings.
Yeah. So we've got a run of good ones. This one is still a good one, just in a different way, and in a way that is not so favorable to our ratings.
Nope, that's correct.
So real quick. Before we jump into the unforgettable Mr. Morrissey, there was a note at the beginning of this episode. They were talking about some controversy and whatnot about a wrecked car in a previous episode, and I was like, what the hell are they talking about?
They did not show that.
Did you catch that?
Apparently, they crashed the C-Type.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, what now? And that was a £1 million car.
That is insane, because that is like, it's like the Genesis for Jaguar, and that car, oh my god, the insurance payout, oh my god, it's gonna kill them.
Yeah, I know. It was the car was owned by one Adrian Hamilton, and basically he had given Top Gear the permission to quote unquote drive the car hard, and apparently they did damage it. And
I mean,
Top
certainly
Gear,
they didn't. Certainly, you're never going to total a £1 million car, but
no. Yeah,
I
it's hard to
what they did.
I'm really curious. I saw like they showed that in the video they're spinning it and stuff, but I mean, I can't find a great reference, unfortunately.
Well, if you own a £1 million car, you got some good insurance on that thing.
Yeah. So probably not too bad, but yeah, that was interesting. I was like, that. Yeah, they definitely left a couple things out or removed them after the fact, as they were then evidence or something.
Yeah, nothing happened.
No. We drove it like grandma. One more thing, they did actually get a record out of this one. So Clarkson was able to get the Zonda up to 170 on their, I guess, runway.
Yeah,
And he was going for a new one with this one. He hit 174 in the Koenigsegg.
Yeah, and that's as far as their runway will allow with a big brake sign.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's minor room for optimization. I don't think he braked and finished his braking at the exact end of the runway, but that's fast.
That's super fast. It was funny. I was thinking about it when they were talking about like how they need to brake, and I was like, oh, they should add a brake sign. Oh, they added a brake sign. Okay.
Yep. Hey, you should put something. Okay, very good. They commented that it has a top speed of 245, but the highest it's ever gotten is 240, which is considerably faster than Jeremy was driving it. But
there's 70 miles an hour.
another full speed limit on top of that.
Oof. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's 174. If something can go 240, it's really just hitting its stride.
Yeah. I mean, if you recall from that the Agera R video, like when that thing is at 174, like it is accelerating at just an astonishing rate.
Well, I mean, the turbos aren't kicking in until they're like that 170, 180, 190 range. Like, he's just kind of nursing it through the low RPMs through the first 4 or 5 gears, and then he's like, all right, then.
Think about that. That is 100 miles an hour slower than that run. That is just... Oof. All right. Enough waxing eloquent. Let's talk about this just amazing guest, Neil Morrissey.
I don't know who the hell this jabroni is.
He's a British actor, apparently. He is not Bob the Builder.
So, yeah, he is a English actor, voice actor, singer, comedian, and businessman. They commented in the episode. They said that we have a man behaving badly in a reasonably priced car.
Yep.
That is what he's most famous for is a show called Men Behaving Badly. Harry Enfield was in that show, actually. Interesting.
Hey.
Started in 92, made 6 series, so he's well after that. So he must have been quite famous, and quite popular, I suppose. I don't have much to say about him. I don't know who this is.
I got nothing. Yeah, he was a motorcyclist. He had a Triumph 955 Sprint, which is a very good bike. Very British. But yeah, and he was a decent driver.
He was a good driver. He's done track days.
Yep.
Which is something they talked about in the previous episode.
They didn't talk much about his cars, did they?
They said they asked him, what do you have now? And he said a 745i, BMW 745.
That's not a track day car at all. That's take the kids to school comfortably car.
Yeah, for a famous person. He went and he said that he went to a track day and they had a lot of fast cars there for him.
Okay.
So it wasn't his. They went and got, whatever. They have a couple Ferraris or McLarens or whatever they have. I don't know.
All right. I got like 0 notes. He did a 149, so he did beat Clarkson with a few others in the car. Did not quite take down JK.
Yep, he is second behind JK and beat Clarkson, Oliver, and Ramsey, who are all sitting at 150.
Yep. So good lap, Mr. We don't know who you are.
Thanks, Mr. Pickles.
High five.
Okay, so this next segment is interesting.
Yeah.
they start talking about the Renault Megane, but it really is a commentary on the Euro NCAP crash test ratings.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk about the Megane because it was a 5-star in the crash test ratings of the whatever particular one, half overlap, 40 mile an hour, whatever particular test, because there's always a multiple tests.
Oh, yeah.
So the cars they brought in the studio to demonstrate this test after they start off by talking about the Megane were the Toyota Avensis, which was a 5-star rating, the Proton which I believe was a 2-star rated car.
Was it that low? I thought it was a 3. Interesting. Okay.
It might have been a 3. Ford Fiesta, which was a 4, and then the Land Rover Freelander, which did very bad. I think maybe the worst of all of them, even though it is considerably bigger than, say, the Fiesta. It deformed a lot. There was much buckling happening around the A-pillars. So they give
roof.
And the roof was all popped up.
Yeah.
The door was off by a lot.
And bent, yeah. If you bend the door, something's going bad.
And then they go through the lists that they have of all the NCAP ratings, and they ask people in the audience what their cars were and what year they were. And they're just giving them their ratings, which is not much to talk about here. But the best part of this whole episode, Jeff, is they just straight up crashed a Renault Megane into another car.
Yeah, which was I was like, that's a bold move. I feel like your insurance, you probably paid a little more than you should, or I don't know. Maybe it feels like that would not be allowed today.
Well, they already hit their deductible crashing that C-Type, I suppose.
I guess so.
we got our deductible.
We're good. Let's go crash some more cars.
Lee and throw him into something else.
Yeah.
But they crashed the Renault Megane at what they say 32 miles an hour.
I think he said the last time he looked down, he's at 30.
And just broadside into the side of another car. With a dude in it, he was wearing gloves, I suppose, to not burn his hands on the airbag.
Yep.
But he was just in
No
a white shirt, no helmet, no visor, no safety glasses, which is amazing. Why wouldn't you put safety glasses on something? It's not going to change anything.
Now that one, I understand no helmet, as I understand gloves. You don't want to burn yourself, but why no glasses?
Yeah, it's got a couple airbags. I don't know. He didn't hit the brakes at all. The screeching you hear in the episode, if you watch it, you can watch all these, by the way, free on Amazon Prime, or I guess you could pay for them on regular Amazon Video.
True.
Is him pushing the other car out of the way, but he came out of it completely unscathed. Hammond walked up, opened the door right up. The door opened and closed just fine. He goes, it's a bit hot in here because the airbag is hot. Because it's, airbags are hot. But yeah, he was shaking because I guess he was nervous about it, and it's a violent thing.
Well, he just crashed a damn car.
Just crash a car, just get the camera out my face.
Well, jacked up.
Well, I'm tough. Give me some more Mountain Dew. They also commented that the seatbelts had the auto tensioners in them. And it was still he said it was very tight around his waist. Like it was uncomfortable for him just to sit there. And then Hammond kept talking to him and made him continue to sit there. It's uncomfortable for me to sit here right now.
Move.
And Hammond goes, okay, let's hold on. Let's stay in the car for a little bit.
High five.
But yeah, it was a good showing by Lee, the Top Gear brave person.
Yeah. That's a good title. I'd get a business card without him.
It's a Top Gear brave person. What do you do? Oh yeah, I ran a new car into an old car this one time.
Yeah. What do you do now? Those cars in my kitchen.
Oh. That's it. I mean, there's not much else. They jacked up a car into another car, and then they showed a bunch of other jacked up cars and asked people how much their cars are going to get jacked up. It's pretty much the segment.
It was interesting. This, they did talk about this episode ostensibly being the safety episode, mostly because they had recently crashed a $1 million car. And this was there was some you're jesting at that, but this whole segment, I was like, this is legitimately about safety and not boring. I mean, it's not a ton to say about it, but it was not.
I mean, it's definitely interesting seeing crashed cars and seeing how they move and looking at.
For sure.
I guess I'm glad I was driving around a Fiesta when I was in Scotland because I would have done okay.
Yeah. You're going to be fine, yeah.
Essentially, what it sounds like is anything pre 2002. Essentially, they made a rule change. They were all 2 stars.
Yeah, I heard that, and I was
Yeah,
like,
there's got to be
gotta
some sort of
there.
requirement, Euro requirement or something like that.
Uh-huh. Or maybe like the real proliferation of like crumple zones. All right, so next up we get a look at the gorgeous and all-new V8 Vantage, which is just such a good-looking car.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great looking car. All right, so on to the news, Jeff.
Yeah, so our does your car alarm send you a fax?
No.
I would really like
It'd be really annoying to, I mean, I guess I have an all-in-one printer or whatever, but it'd be really annoying every time my daughter pushed the red button on the key fob to get a damn fax in my printer. Because that's the only time, I live in a safe town, and I park in my house and like the Home Depot, but it's, the only time my alarm has ever gone off is when my daughter pushes the button.
Yeah, this is in reference to a Cobra alarm system that James is talking about that can either alert you by phone, text, or fax that your car has been stolen. And it was a fun segment, but God, what a weird tweener time the early 2000s were.
Yeah, like we could text you or we could fax you. Here's our don't send us too many texts. We have to pay for every single one of them.
Yeah, we could cost you a dime every time your car gets stolen. Or your daughter's being a shit.
Oh, it's just brutal.
Yeah. I don't have much else. They did mention the Morris Minor, which is, a brief little glimpse at the Morris hate ahead. But otherwise, I believe it was. Did you have anything else on that?
I do not, no.
Yeah. Quick news segment today. Moving on to the very safe Hummer.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess this is ostensibly a review of the H2, which is the actual new car to come out. But they started it by commenting about military vehicles making the transition over to real-life vehicles. They started talking about the Willys Jeep, or the Willis Jeep, that they like to call it. General Patton saying we wouldn't have beaten the Germans without the Willys Jeep. And then presumably we wouldn't have beat the Iraqis in the first Desert Storm War without the Hummer. But that brought it to show you the commercial version of the H1, I've always called it, or it's just the commercial Hummer.
It is, officially the H1. And this is, I believe, after GM sort of took over, because it was AM General, and I think it still kind of is AM General, or was at the time. Yeah, but sort of GM.
Well, I mean, I don't know what vintage the car he was driving around, but it's definitely GM when the H2
It looked
came
pretty
out.
fresh.
Yeah.
Now, a question for you. Have you ever driven either of these?
I have never driven one. I have been in them, but I've never been behind the wheel.
Okay, I have driven an H1.
You've driven an H1?
I have. It's with this engine, pretty much this exact thing in bright red.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was. It's a interesting car. I gotta say, like, I am probably a couple inches shorter than Clarkson and a couple dozen pounds lighter. But man, I was real tight in that driving compartment. I totally agree with him. Like, it is astonishing how little room you have in that giant vehicle.
I mean, there's no room to sit, but there's so much wasted space because the engine it protrudes so far into the cab. Like, the seat area is less wide than the center console, quote unquote, area.
Yeah,
in between the seats. Like,
it's not it's not a console. Like, it's like a dining room table. It's enormous.
And there's only 4 seats for a car that size. Only 4 seats because of this center tunnel.
Which
thing.
I get the only thing that I can make sense of it is it really does help with the ground clearance, because the thing's got 16 inches of ground clearance stock, which is a lot. And that is really done by just jamming everything as high as you can make it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it gives you a good footrest to stand on top of the 50 cal as well. So
True. That's probably part of it.
Design feature.
Yeah. Now the motor they put in this was the 6.5 liter turbo diesel. Now the interesting thing is, like, that's just not a great motor. It's very reliable. It's very simple, but not good mileage, not a ton of horsepower or torque. There's a company called Predator that puts these Duramax engines in them. let me give you some numbers because I really enjoy it. The stock 6.5 liter is 195 horsepower. With the Predator Duramax, it's 465.
Ooh.
Stock is 440 foot-pounds of torque. Predator is 1,100.
1,100.
1,100. The crazy thing, stock in this thing is 10 miles per gallon. With the Predator, 18.
Wow.
Yeah, it actually makes them like, I've seen them on a few different programs, and they're like, it makes a legitimately streetable Hummer, like in terms of a motor that doesn't suck.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. That seems very, very doable.
Yeah. So one thing I'll link again in the show notes. One Doug DeMuro, who is an auto journalist that I'm sure many of our listeners have heard of. He likes to buy unique cars and kind of do videos about them and have unique takes on them. And he, I believe, lives in Philadelphia and he bought an H1 and was talking about it in reference to like how it really does in city life. And it's interesting because it is no longer the hulking beast that it once was because so many other cars are now so big, but it has certain like dimensions that are just weird. Like it's just a wide vehicle, and that's part of it, is why it still seems so big.
That was the joke of Clarkson driving around tiny British city streets and whatnot with it. My coworker at day job just bought a military spec Humvee.
Ooh.
And he's been driving it to work every once in a while. But he can't get it commercially registered.
I was going to say, I had heard those are illegal to get, or those are impossible to get, like road legal.
Yeah, at least in the state of Colorado. I think he's selling it to, quote unquote, selling it to someone in a different state.
Okay.
Like South Dakota.
Not selling it to his business in Montana, because that's the easy way to do it. Tell him
exactly.
That's the easy way to do it.
I will tell him.
Yeah, my note on the roads in Britain was don't make stupid roads, but yeah, it was comical. And this would be, I mean, they are super wide, and especially because you're literally jammed into the door, like it's tricky finding like it's not as intuitive being like I know where my front wheel is because it's there because you're like it's wider and I'm further left than I would normally be, so it's kind of hard to find where that wheel actually is.
Yeah, exactly. So that leads us right into the H2, which
Can we just skip this? Because this car.
I think it came up on my top 5 worst. Did it come up on yours as well? I think so.
It might have. I don't have. I have my other notebook. But
I think it was on both of ours. But
the
H2 is just
awful vehicle.
Just a piece of garbage. I can't believe Clarkson liked it. He was off of his rocker when he said that. But it's interesting. I didn't know it was built on the Tahoe platform.
I knew, yeah, because that's the Tahoe, and then if you go to the H3, that one's built on the Canyon and the Colorado platform. It's built on the small truck. So
the Tahoe is a big car, and
they
just made it look so much bigger.
Yeah,
with just making it perfectly rectangular from the front. Like if you look at it like in silhouette in the front, the doors are straight up and down, and the roof is perfectly flat. There's like no curvature or anything to this car. I guess to mimic the H1, but it makes it look so much more hulking that you don't have that taper up at the top.
Now, you know what the other interesting thing about these that you don't think about until you've driven them, and actually I did not drive mine at night, so I only know this from hearing from other people, but with that completely vertical window, like windshield, side windows, rear window, everything that comes in the H1, any reflection at night like just throws you off. Like the cars behind you, you'll get the headlights bouncing right off the windshield into your eyes, and it's like a giant mirror. They look like they're like coming right at you.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
You get that same problem. Like I guess the Wranglers aren't straight up and down, but they're very close.
I think they understand enough at that point. Like the later Wranglers, I've only owned a TJ, but like that they're sloped in enough that it's not quite that bad.
Interesting. I hadn't thought about that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a ill-conceived car in literally every way, and I mean you don't really see too many of them anymore, but I feel like you saw a lot of them when they were released. Like a lot of people were like,
or the H2.
Yeah, a lot of people were like, "F yeah, Hummer."
Yeah. It's it has a certain following, and I remember seeing them with like 28-inch Lexanis, and I was like, just no, and more no. But yeah, he had the weight figure too. He said it was almost 4 tons. I had no idea they were that heavy. That is insane.
4 tons is extremely heavy.
Yeah.
It's no surprise that he was getting 3.3 miles per gallon. Because, I mean, the Chevy Tahoe has the 6-liter LS derivative.
Yeah,
aluminum block V8, which is, in a bigger car gets not great gas mileage, but not 3. It'll usually get like, 12 or 15 or something like that.
Yeah.
But when you add enough weight onto this thing to make it 4 tons, it's like, we actually armor plated it because Hummer. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
Hummer! Yeah, it's just no. The price, too, £60,000.
Well, I mean, that might be a huge cost of converting it to right-hand drive and stuff like that, but that's, I mean, they certainly weren't that expensive in the States.
No, that's $120,000 today. I mean, that's like, I don't think that like fully loaded Escalades cost that much.
No, Clarkson actually muttered the words "sensible family saloon," talking about this
If you
car.
concentrate really hard, you can justify this thing. I've managed to convince myself that it's a sensible family saloon. My wife's not so sure, but, given time, she'll come round.
I mean, he must have just been drunk and comparing it to the H1, because it was like, that has 4 seats, and this one can have a third row. The third row, I didn't have enough time to research. I was really hoping it was just a single seat. That was the only option. I'm guessing it was a 2-seat, because it'd be way funnier to be like, you have to sit in the seat of shame in the back with the dog.
Next to dog.
Yeah.
No, the H2's a piece of shit. We can stop talking about it now.
Yeah, goodbye H2. It would have been awesome to see him do that should have been how they took out the first Stig. It's just a timed lap and he just rolls it into oblivion.
They already hit the deductible, you might as well.
Yeah, just write off some more cars. We got money for days.
Well, that leads us, Jeff, into a much more interesting vehicle.
So fun.
Yes. Hammond says to Jeremy that you're doing it wrong. You've got the wrong military-esque vehicle, and he brings out the first of what's not the last, the first of a few riot control vehicles that he drives on the show.
Yeah.
Over the many years. But this one is called the Talon Riot Control Vehicle.
I wish it was a little less boring looking, but man, it functionally, yeah.
Yeah. It's worth 500,000 pounds, but that's because it comes with things like grenade launchers and shooting murder holes and smoke screen and a bathroom. And so I think it justifies its price, especially to, the Central African nation that's buying that to control their citizens, or the first world nations that's buying that to control their citizens. I liked, Jeff, on the shooting hatch the shooting hatch murder holes, that there's little V-shaped rain gutters above them to stop. I mean, it's not going to stop with like molten metal. There's no safety reason for that. I think it's literally just rain gutters because those hatches don't seal very well.
Yeah, you don't want a leaky hatch. That's just never a good thing.
You got some swamp hatch.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they got little chevron rain gutters on top of those. Every single one. I mean, there's like 6 of them down the side. I thought that was awesome. This is it's a cool car. It's got all sorts of features. Grenade launch, anything with grenade launch is pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. I have no qualms with grenade launchers. But yeah, it's the interesting thing was, so I did a little outside research here. At 500,000 pounds, as you mentioned, there was one. It may have been the exact one that filmed that was actually sold in 2003 for about $85,000, which is a significant discount.
Yeah, well, it had wrong bore grenade launchers, I suppose.
I know they bought the wrong size. It showed back up in 2007 on eBay. I do not believe it's sold, but it was. I think it ended up at about 10,000 pounds or $10,000, which is like there's no way it sold at that. God, I wish they had a weight on the thing. That thing's got to weigh like 25,000 pounds.
I mean, it's got to weigh at least 0.75 H2s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least 3 tons.
It's got to, I mean, it's armor plated. It seats like 14 or something like that. I'm sure it's in the the 10 to 20 ton range.
Oh, yeah, electrified all the way around. Did they mention what size engine it was?
I don't think they did. I don't have any notes here on the engine except for that it's diesel.
It has to be, yeah.
Obviously. But I don't think it had any sort of information on it in terms of specs.
Well, that's a bummer, because, yeah, I was hoping to find more. My Google foo was not strong with me today, and the eBay listing from which it was originally found, I found it was removed, so I couldn't get much on it. But I was hoping to do a lap with it. Instead, they just smashed through an old production Top Gear office.
Yeah, well, this is one of the first times they smashed through one of those mobile homes, but they didn't have the laser printed piece of 8.5 by 11 paper on it that says Top Gear production offices, which is the running joke. But I guess probably not that running of a joke, because I think at the track or whatever, those are their actual production offices.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is one of the first times they smashed through the mobile, job site office things. What am I trying to say here?
Trailer?
Yeah, okay.
Portable? It's a portable. That's what it is.
Yeah, this is one of the first times they smashed through one of those, job site office portables that you see around construction and apparently airfields in the UK.
Yeah. It did a good job. It plowed right through that thing.
It did do a good job. It got a little messed up. There's a little bit of body damage.
Yeah, a little bit. It was really just the screen that's
on front of the windshield.
Oh my God! I was Googling during this, and indeed I found one that it might be the exact one that actually was on eBay this year.
Okay.
They made 9 total.
Okay.
8 went to Qatar.
Okay.
This is the one that was in the show. Oh man, 8.2 liter engine.
Okay.
He says it does 8 to 10 miles per gallon. I don't believe you.
No way in hell.
No, it did not sell.
Reserve not met.
It was a classified ad, which means he was probably asking like way too much. 13 tons.
Oh, really?
Class 5 MOT, whatever the hell that means. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. So
13 tons is okay.
Yeah, 26,000 pounds.
Well, you said 25,000 pounds. You were pretty close.
That's not bad. The gross vehicle weight rating on my bus is higher than that, though. That's weird.
Because it carries fat Americans inside.
That's true. It carries 73 American children types, which are their little beefy guys. Oh, that's funny. I'll see if I can post a link to this listing on. It looks like this truck has fallen into a sad state of disrepair.
Well, I think that about does it for us today, Jeff. So thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Remember, you can see all of these episodes on the Amazon Video. And if you are a Prime member, it is free. It's a great way to catch up on, I think they have seasons 2 through 17. So quite a bit of Top Gear available to you.
Yes. Yeah, and if you're liking the podcast, we really appreciate it if you can hop on iTunes, give us a subscribe, or on the podcatcher of your choice. It also really helps if you give us a rating or a review on there. And, of course, organically, if you just want to share with some friends, that would be awesome.
Yes, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Top Gear Rearview, where you post some car stuff up, or you can converse with us however you like. We also will reply to emails at topgearrearview@gmail.com.
So with that said, I think that's about all we got for this episode. So come back next week. We will be looking at episode 8. And on that note, we'll talk to y'all soon.